second time, and I call the member for Goldstein.
Thank you, Speaker, and it's always good to see you in the chair, Speaker. Speaker, the point of this legislation is really quite straightforward, which is if you do the crime, you don't keep the dime. And that is the basis in which I support this legislation. It isn't just if you do the crime, you don't keep the dime, just to repeat for the interjecting member, but of course, if you find the dime and you've done the crime, there's a consequence. Because the actions of organised crime syndicates often have tragic human consequences: theft, violence, and in the worst cases, of course, loss of life. But there are also economic costs associated with criminal behaviour. The wealth accumulation of criminals costs this country tens of billions of dollars each year. Engaging in behaviour like illicit tobacco, which I spoke about recently, where we have seen people take advantage of government policy that creates high consumer surplus for interchangeable products, and they don't deserve their wealth. What they do deserve, Speaker, is justice. These crooks use discrete monetary networks that across jurisdictional boundaries and borders to their advantage to undermine the rule of law, to undermine decent legal activity, and to the benefit solely of themselves at the expense of our community and the government and our nation at large. And that's why a national approach is necessary for our law enforcement agencies, with the tools to seize back the wealth that has been taken nefariously and that they acquire by robbing our communities of their health, well-being and safety. And that's what this bill seeks to achieve. It's to recognise that where people work hard, earn, save, pay taxes and operate in the regular economy, that their effort is rewarded and respected. And those who seek to circumvent that process to their own advantage, to society's detriment, will face justice. And this bill will allow the Australian Federal Police to confiscate the assets of criminals that obtain their wealth illegally by engaging in illegal practices. It will also allow state and territory agencies to use lawfully intercepted telecommunications information in unexplained wealth matters. Now, Speaker, don't misunderstand. In this space where people have wealth, I'm not a big fan of the government coming along and surveying and seeing what people are doing. I'm not a big fan of having a big brotherish approach, even if it's a tax department or the AFP or any other regulatory body, to intercept what private citizens are doing lawfully. But where there is a basis that people have been doing things unlawfully and that it's coming at a consequence of the community at large, including not just unexplained wealth for their own private benefit, but also invariably because of activity that is not taxed, that is not treated equally to those good citizens who are doing the right thing, we do need to take action. This scheme was recommended by the final report of the National ICE Task Force in 2015. And, Speaker, I know from the Goldstein community, as I know from talking to many other members in this place, including often those that are disadvantaged, representing disadvantaged communities or those in rural and regional areas, that ICE is having a horrendous effect and impact on individuals, on families and communities across our great Commonwealth. The government's National ICE Action Strategy is expanding access to early intervention and treatment, particularly for high-risk populations. But we must also choke the supply of illicit drugs. The scale and the complexity of the drug peddling criminal networks should not intimidate us in this place. We are here to uphold the rule of law and to make sure that it is enforced. They are lining their pockets with wealth gained from human misery and tragedy, and it's encouraging to see such strong cooperation with the states and territories in designing this national cooperative scheme with the leadership of the Commonwealth, particularly the New South Wales government, who introduced the supporting legislation only earlier this year. By creating a national cooperative scheme, the unexplained wealth regimes across all jurisdictions will be strengthened so that we can have the legal framework we need as a nation to uphold the rule of law, and so that those people who do the right thing are rewarded and carry no more of their share of the burden of the community as a whole, while those people who do wrong face confiscation and justice and contribute disproportionately the consequences of their ill-gotten gains. Speaker, I recommend the bill to the House. Thank you.